Happiness is the feeling of content and courage. Happiness is a fresh start, clear mind, and negativity left behind. The mind's ability to slide in such an uncertain time, in the end, releases what's no longer needed or what drags us behind. Happiness is laughter and love, peace and acceptance, disappearing differences and separation becoming one. Happiness is what we want it to be. It's in the now. It's this present moment.
Happiness is as elusive as a firefly in your garden at night. It cannot be bought or taught or saved. It comes and goes as it might. Like the warmth of the sun on a bright spring day, it wraps you in its glow, a sensation that fills you with contentment and sets your senses aglow.
But happiness for me is my afternoon walk with Coco, my son's dog, down in Binia. I go there, rain or shine.
A strong cup of tea, brie and crackers, an evening of anime, RuPaul's Drag Race, raspberry pavlova, kids laughing, kids in bed by 9, overdraft full, HBO dramas, stand-up comedy specials, Stephen King, a snake or 10, podcasts, Trixie Mattel, a good brain day, Matty Matheson, freshly hoovered carpet, friends who share and listen, and story care and share.
The rainbow is for these precious moments, luring our eyes to be wrapped in soft ribbons of playful light. The rainbow is a vaporous bridge sprung to soar in timeless instants, to splash explosions of joy in the folds of sagging clouds. The rainbow is now melting in the wash and ebb of time's softening tide, is losing its vigour in the creeping mists. Cast a glance before this rainbow was a speck on the threads of your memory.
Happiness is egg-shaped because whichever way you approach it, the best bits are always at its heart. Happiness is a warm blanket on a cold night because it's great to wrap it around you. Happiness is tall, short, fat, thin, long, wide. It doesn't matter which because it always fits. Happiness is a little itch you have to scratch with a smile. Happiness is a stranger who knocks on your door, and you know it's a friend as soon as you open it. Happiness is when your computer works proper, like mine doesn't at the moment. Happiness is making people laugh. And lastly, happiness is dreaming about George Clooney.
What is happiness? Is it a stab of joy, fleeting, renewed with every positive experience? Or is it a rich accumulation of numerous happy events? Is it physical, the afterglow of vigorous exercise, warm, dry clothes on a cold, damp day, delicious food, a thirst-quenching drink? What is happiness? Does it derive from achievement, the fruition of well-laid plans, the satisfaction of a job well done? Is it in the little things, a purring cat, a tiny child's chuckle, a jolly good belly laugh, a warm house to come home to, and a comfy chair? What is happiness? Is it the thrill of the unknown, or the road oft-travelled, the return to a much-loved and familiar place? Is it in the quiet contemplation of nature, the sudden opening of a magnificent vista, the exhilarating crash of waves on a storm-tossed beach, a walk in the dappled life of a woodland drenched in birdsong? What is happiness? Is it the swelling notes of beautiful music, the vibrant colours of a lovely painting, the lithe movements of an accomplished dancer? Is it in people that we find it, the embrace of a dear friend, the gentle caress of a lover, the fierce protective love of a parent for a child? What is happiness? Is it in collective action, a shared emotional response, the soaring song of a football crowd, the applause of an appreciative audience? Happiness cheers you on your way, welcomes you home, envelops you in its warmth, sustains you in adversity. It is nourishment to the soul. a deep, slow breath of contentment, the rich source of a life well lived, the summation of all that is good and pleasurable. Happiness is sunshine pouring into a darkened room, light spilling out of a window into the blackness of night, a golden thread running through the rich tapestry of life. Grasp it tightly and cherish it always.
Happiness is anything you want it to be. For me, it depends, especially now the goalposts change on how the wind blows. So today, happiness would be a walk along a riverbank, looking into the cool, clear water, the tiny fish swimming by. But I love a picnic, sitting under leafy trees, eating Pringles and dip, wearing my shorts and sandals with not a coat or a shoe in sight. Exploring a castle high on a hill with the world around it, the smell of fresh towels and sheets blowing in the breeze. A conversation with someone you haven't spoken to in a while, and photographs of my nan and granddad, memories of Romford back then. A fresh, crusty loaf with mature cheese and piccalilli, when you can make others smile or laugh along with you, feeling that you've achieved something. Being silly or messing around, goofing about. Sitting there with a steamy cup of coffee, keeping your hands warm. Sometimes it's just the simple things that light up your life. But for most of us now, it's a hug, a cuddle, a kind word, a thought, a wave, a gesture. Happiness is.
Winter is receding back, eliminating all of the lack. The warmth, the sunlight and vitamin D, the insects, animals and the bee. Shoots are coming up from the ground. Primrose heads have just been found. Some daffodils are already out. Is it too early? I hear you shout. The sky is blue and the sun is low. The sunsets give a golden glow. The birds are singing in the morning. As sun comes up, the day is dawning. From hibernation, hedgehogs awake. Lambs are born, a lovely sound they make. The air is fresh of life anew. Grass in the morning is covered with dew. The geese honk as they fly. In perfect V formation they go by. At the end of the day, the sky's less dark. Spring is signalled by the lark. People's faces break into a smile because of winter, not seen for a while. Forward an hour the clocks will go. Goodbye, cold weather. Goodbye, snow. Spring puts itself in our step, filling our bodies with lots of pep. There's such a promise in the air. Warmth descends, fewer clothes to wear. The seasons run their usual race. Every year they come apace. Goodbye, winter. Hello, spring. Next comes summer. What will you bring? So that's
Okay, so for our spring, we have new beginnings, daylight extended, flowers, bleached clouds, racing clouds, birds, the tides change, colours in the sky, and stars and the planets changing.
Ooh, now see, there we are. That's an interesting one. I would never have thought about the stars and the planets associated with seasons.
We had an image of heat on our faces. Light enhanced, array of smells, flowers, explosion of flowers, dawn chorus, garden gatherings, smell of barbecue, fresh strawberries, and fruit on the trees.
Oh, fresh strawberries, lovely. And who is doing, so we've had spring and summer, autumn and winter.
You need to unmute, Lorraine, sorry.
Sorry, yeah, I came in at the end, but we were discussing then autumn, and the main thing that hit us were the colours of the leaves mainly. Have they formed carpets on our feet when we walked, and the colours of them from all the different types of trees and the conkers and the different things that were still on the tree or falling off the tree. Just the beautiful colours that we still have in our minds. We can still see it clearly now. And the sound of the wind and the rain as well, because of course it gets wetter from summer. And then the sound of it, listening to that, the wind, and how autumn is like in between seasons really. Summer is sort of fairly clear, depending where you live, and winter, whereas autumn, it can be a bit mixed, the seasons. It can be wet and dry or cold and wet. So that's more what could happen in the season of autumn. It's not as well defined, except for the colours and the sound. And shall we go into winter? Shall I do that, Keris? Yeah. Winter, we thought it was the darkness that hit us, the less light that we noticed in the mornings and in the evenings as well. And another one, that we all have to wear sensible clothing and get the thermals out, because of course it's that little bit colder, so we have to get warm wool and clothes and thermals and heavy boots on as well. And also hot drinks. We have to think we've got a nice flask of hot tea or coffee with us if we're going out anywhere, drinking more hot drinks and hot soups. And the nights become more endless, the longer nights, and we're just waiting for the seasons to change. Gives us optimism, thinking about spring coming on us. And it can be sudden changes. It can be going from being, as I said, autumn is a bit less defined as what the winter suddenly can become cold, frosty. And the grass growing as well. We noticed the grass this year because of climate change. We noticed the changes within the season are changing also, mainly with the grass and the flowers. And it's giving us hope. From December gives us more hope for lighter evenings. And we notice the skies can be clear, and a nice frosty night is so beautifully clear, the stars and the skies.
That was lovely. Is it Lorraine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, lovely. Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you.
Okay, for spring we had lambs, daffodils, awakening, new growth, birth, cobwebs, and the song chick, 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 chicken, play a little egg for me.
I love that you had a song, and that's beautiful. Very well sung as well, Fionn. Who's next?
No, it's Yvonne next. And she just needs to unmute.
Sorry that I didn't notice the mute. Well, for summer, we had long days, perfume, paddling pools, beach. I can't read my own writing, so bear with me. Lighter nights and flowering and blistering sunshine, poetry, and seashells on the seashore. And it was quite funny because Fionn and I ended up saying she's seashore at the same time, and then it erupted into this. She go on, Fionn. Have a go.
Seashells on the seashore.
Seashore.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. She saw
seashells on the seashore.
Like one of those sing-alongs, isn't it?
Brilliant. Love it. Thank you.
Okay, and autumn, we had planting, damp, crunchy leaves, burnt orange and amber, and jumpers, oversized Kuchi jumpers. Okay, and over to you, Judith.
Thank you. Winter is tobogganing, with red wine by the fire, bright lights, fluffy socks, and hibernation.
Thank you, Judith. Everyone's nodding their head in agreement.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you, Ellen.
The three of us all came from different parts of the UK. So we decided that we would split up with different parts. So I chose Scotland for the winter. I did live up in the Orkney Islands for a couple of years. So to me, Scotland is those wonderful mountains covered in snow in the Highlands. And and hogmanay, and everybody having a ceilidh and a good time, and a good knees up. But also winter, being a churchgoer, I also think of the lovely carols and the seriousness of the Christmas as a Christian. So that's my winter.
And we got spring. So for spring, we've got this part of the world. We've got Carmarthenshire specifically. So we've got daffodils and birdsong and new life coming through, and longer days and St. David's Day. I've just added St. David's Day in there. It's just come to me, that one. And then hope and crocuses and birdsong and new life, and the clock's changing.
Yeah. And then in summer, we were thinking more of Brighton. So just being, if anybody's ever been to Brighton, going down North Lanes, where they've got the really colourful, you've got loads of colourful quirky shops, but they've got like, what's it called? Bunting. They've got really colourful bunting across, and there's a beach, and you can get ice cream, and there's beer, and you're wearing less clothing as well. You're not covered in scarves. You can wear like little strappy dresses and sandals, and it's just kind of like quite a happy, fun-loving time.
Right. And we spent autumn in the north of England, and we remembered Duck Apple Night, which was very different from Halloween, where you strung apples up on a string and you tried to eat the apples with your hands behind your back, and then put them in a bowl and tried to eat them like that, and toffee apples and parking. And then we went to Blackpool, annual visit to see the lights, and driving through the night, and then arriving in Blackpool, and it starts very quiet. The lights are very quiet, just a few lights, and then as you go very, very slowly down this promenade, and the bursts of colour, and it's absolutely fabulous. You go at a snail's pace, but it's wonderful. And we used to go there every year, and fish and chips on the way home. And that was autumn.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Every group has bought something completely different. I love that trip around the UK, guys.
Okay, so I was nominated to read because I wrote it down. So we started off at winter because we're at winter. And Hilary, when she can, loves to walk along her cycle path and look at the horses in the pale sunlight with the steam coming off of them, and the farmer has given them lots of hay to eat. So she has that lovely vision of the cycle path. And Steph, like the patterns of the branches in the sky and the frost patterns on her car that she sadly has to wipe away because they're so pretty. Also cold noses and a roof with a window with snow frozen in time dripping off. We also have starlings gathering at dusk from Carol, with beautiful sunsets and cold, crisp mornings with white roofs. And I like blankets, Christmas, pine cones, and particularly winter reminds me of my mother's stew and dumplings when I was a little girl. And she used to do a good stew and dumplings, so that was pretty good. We went on to spring then, and it was tips of the leaves showing. And Steph said not having to wear gloves and the smell of spring, and not having to go to work in the dark, which I can remember as well, so that's great. Crocuses with beautiful colours, and Hilary remembers birds returning, and she has a pyramid in her garden with water where when the sun comes up, robins come as well, and she likes to look at those. With Carol, it was the colour yellow with flowers, and also the evenings drawing out with birds and feeding as well came up. Easter eggs, which are now in the shops. And I particularly love a glade of bluebells, which I remember seeing at Bowood many, many years ago, and snowdrops, which are beautiful this time of year. So that was spring. We went on to summer, which is an abundance of wildflowers and warmth, trees with leaves, and also me and Carol have a love of wearing no coats and no shoes. And if we could wear sandals all year round, we could. Barbecues and the smell of barbecues. Sitting in the garden, Hilary likes warmth, listening to birds and the rustle and the traffic hum, and it's beautiful just sitting there listening. Steph loves listening to her neighbours' conversations in the summer, and some very interesting conversations come up, she remembered. And also the noise of children playing in paddling pools. I also love fairy rings and tall green trees. We didn't get round to autumn because we were talking quite a lot about the other seasons, but I did put conkers, crunchy leaves, acorns and squirrels. And I think a lot of the winter also we talked about the crunchy leaves and the trees, and walking in the park came up quite a lot as well. So that was an ending there with autumn.